You're listening to the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox Podcast, the podcast that keeps your practice sharp and your clients happy. I'm your host, immigration lawyer John Khosravi, and every week we're bringing you insights, tips, and real-world conversations with top immigration attorneys and industry leaders. Whether you're here to grow your practice, stay on top of the latest trends, or get inspired, you're in the right place. Ready? Let's go. Hello, fellow Toolboxers. Welcome to episode 413 of the Immigration Lawyers Podcast. We're doing a great monthly recording with Roman Zelichenko, our colleague in New York, who doesn't directly work in immigration practice, but he's in the periphery and constantly involved. And many of you know him already. He's a wealth of information knowledge regarding tech and marketing in the immigration space. He has his own podcast as well, GMI Rocket Podcast. It might not be the proper title, but it's worth listening to, especially if you're interested in learning about the newest tech operations. In today's it's going to be like 15, 20 minutes interview, went close to an hour. But we talk about a lot of topics: AI, privacy and passwords, meeting with immigration attorneys, setting those things up to better your practice, marketing, LinkedIn. So it's chock full of information. It's going to be really helpful to get you going in whatever you need to do in your business, get things going. Because for some, it's a feast or famine right now. Some law firms are doing really great. Some are really challenged. The information here should help both of them. So definitely worth to listen to. And speaking of things that'll help your practice, issue number 10 of the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox magazine is out. Go to immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com, click on the magazine tab that's there. It's a link on the top, and you can get access number 10 and the old issues, other 9 issues that'll talk about practice management, law changes, and great attorneys there that share their wealth of information. They can make you a better immigration attorney, and they're very friendly too. You can always reach out, thank them for the work that they did, and connect with them in that way. So I really appreciate that. And I appreciate the sponsor of this episode and the magazine. If you're looking at the magazine, you see a lot of mention of e-immigration by Serenade. So let's talk about case management system. Maybe you're still drowning in spreadsheets or stuck with software that feels like it's from 2015, 10 years. Well, 2015 is 10 years ago. Wow. You get old, time flies. Our friends at e-immigration recently published an ultimate immigration software buyer's guide. It's exactly what I wish I'd had when I was shopping for our firm's system. I think it was probably 10 years ago when I got our system, with real comparisons of the features that actually move the needle. Head to get.eimmigration.com/resources to grab your copy and pick like a pro. It's get.eimmigration.com/resources. And Serenade, e-immigration by Serenade, is doing a lot of groundbreaking work, partnership with Visa.ai, which is a focus of the magazine issue that's out, talking with them about what their plans are, why they did this, talking with Greg Siskin about this as well. So it's a very cool process. Now, if you're an immigration attorney and you want to better yourself, it's all about fine-tuning self-development. We have a private community page for lawyers. You can join it. It's free. You just got to be a U.S. bar lawyer. So just email me, info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com with your name and bar info. Check it out. Make sure you're private practice. You're not part of the government or something like that, or just some random person, because it's just trying to make a place where you can more freely share information and talk. It's really cool. We have a lot of videos and training sessions there. But also our premium courses about marriage immigration, consular processing, E2s, EB1As, things people want to know. You can find it there. Having said all that, the information provided here is not intended as individual legal guidance. You should consult with an attorney about your case, but y'all know that already. Let's get it started. Hey, Roman, thanks so much for coming on the show again.
Hey, John. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat with you again.
I appreciate it. I mean, we were talking about some stuff before we came on. I'm like, we got to record this, but it was really about using AI. And you were asking some stuff on ChatGPT and the delay it has recently with the upgrade, the chain. I don't know if it's upgrade or downgrade, which one it is, but this new 5.0 model, there's this huge delay when I ask a question, and it just takes a while to come. It's probably, as you said, I'm talking for you, but like it said, it's probably doing a lot of thinking, but it gets annoying because you're like waiting and it freezes, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it just sort of, it upgraded to ChatGPT 5 as the model, and the default, I'm looking at it right now on my screen. The default is automatic. So it decides based on the question and the kind of answer you want, how long to think. There is an option for a fast answer where, I guess it does a little bit less research, or just, yeah, or thinking where it says it thinks longer for better answers. So yeah, and you can also go back. And by the way, there's also a pro model. I don't have that. I do have a page at ChatGPT. I do not have the pro model, which has what it calls research grade intelligence. But I have heard from a number of attorneys who have used that pro model to help draft various documents. They do country conditions research, and they've said, I mean, increasingly that they're more and more impressed with it. Again, as
Is that the
always, never copy
$200 a month
paste.
version?
I think so. You know what? Let me check since we're kind of talking through this.
'Cause I had
Um,
the consumer one that was like 20 bucks a month, and I got a team version with my legal assistant so that we could share some
yeah.
GPTs that we use. It was 25 bucks a month, and there
Yep.
wasn't much of a difference in quality other than that we could, like, share a GPT for what it's worth.
Yeah. So $200 a month. It's interesting. There are two options. There's Plus, which I have, and then there is Pro, which has better reasoning, unlimited tools. It's faster, so I guess you're throttled a little bit when you have the Pro version. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's good to know, and I mean, I think that's one of the things we want to talk about today. As far as people's use of ChatGPT, I'll use that as kind of short form for any one of these models, Anthropic, etc. But everyone says ChatGPT. Attorneys are still, they're using it more and more. Every conference across the board has at least one topic about AI, or if not, it comes up. And so I think, for many skeptics, they're just coming around because more and more of their colleagues are using it. So, um, do you use it, by the way, John?
I do, and primarily it's like backup legal research. So it's like someone asks
Yeah.
me something, and I'm just like, let me get some info from there too. And actually, I've every week there'll be one thing I ask ChatGPT about immigration law, and it'll get wrong, and I'll share it on my weekly podcast, where it's just like I have to like ask it 5 different ways and say, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" Then it, like, it realizes it. And so it's like it's, on some really there's these are, like, long tail stuff that's very specific. It'll take a while. On generic stuff, it'll get that big idea, like 9 out of 10 cases, yeah, that's the answer. But those 1 out of 10 cases where it needs a lawyer because 'cause they'd have to know what's there. So, essentially, I ask it questions, I have to know the answer ahead of time to know what's wrong, but it's a way of confirming. And then when I ask it for citations, like, "Where is in the Foreign Affairs Manual is it this?" Or, "Which INA section is it?" It'll give the wrong section, but it'll give me some information I could go by and from there build my stuff up much faster. Or they'll be like, I'm like, I remember there was this like BIA decision that was about this, and it'll give me some information for me to more easily find what it was. So that it'll save me. That's an hour of time. Literally, it'll save me sometimes from me trying to find this, find that, and also uploading stuff for it to read. Like there's this new update from the Code of Federal Regulations proposed for F1 and J1 students, and it was 42 or 46 pages, dense. And I uploaded. I'm like, give me get good 10 talking points so I can do a podcast on it. And it did a great job. But I ended up reading it anyways because I'm like, it might not get the full thing. I just want to get it. And it was
Yeah.
excruciating read to go through. I did a podcast on it yesterday, and then I went and uploaded all the Facebook groups for immigration lawyers. But I uploaded to 20 groups at once, and all of them got like frozen. It didn't upload. It's like, oh man, this is time of the essence. I need to get this up. So now it's like not going on all the Facebook groups. Like I forgot to fix that because no one's seen it. It's a private only for immigration lawyers to review, or to leave comments on it, to know
Yeah.
where to go to government to comment and what to comment about the errors in the government process. But it's helpful. And the other thing I did is I not only have ChatGPT, I have for some reason I'll have double names. It's like Claude by Anthropic, ChatGPT by OpenAI. It's always, I guess it's a
Right.
product in the company, the product of the
Yeah.
company. But so I had Grok because I had met this one
Right.
lawyer. My kid's karate. There's other lawyers sitting next to me. He's like, Grok has the best legal research, which is it doesn't. That's a lot of errors on there. But so I opened that one, Claude, and then I had a client a week or two ago. I'm like, how'd you find me? He's like, I asked Microsoft Copilot. I'm like, oh, is that their thing? I think it's probably ChatGPT too. So I added that.
Yeah.
And then Google just added this banana program. It's called something banana, where it's like the images are better or something's better. So last week I added it. So I have like a separate full, like a browser with just 5 things. And I asked ChatGPT, which always lags. So then I asked other 5 in the meantime, copy paste, and all 5. And then I flipped through them really quick to see, at least now I know which is the best ones. It's a lot of times for marketing too. I'm like, okay, I wrote this newsletter. How should I word it? Or this LinkedIn, I wrote this, and then give it to them to give some ideas, and I'll pluck out paragraphs the way they wrote it, or they'll catch stuff that's sometimes interesting. Like, oh, provide more legal analysis in there that I didn't think about to add and stuff. So it's like, oh, it thinks in addition to add. It's really interesting.
Yeah, totally. I mean, this is why people say you need to do your own review. You have to understand what the output is, but it's going to find things that you don't consider. It's going to do it much faster than you would do it anyway. So it's a good tool. It's a tool. We've all talked about this ad nauseum. I mean, every single conference, again, panel where we talk about AI, it's, use it as a tool. It's not replacing anybody, and it is certainly not replacing you as an attorney. But I did want to talk about there continue to be questions about privacy. I just I this came up in a Facebook group the other day, so I thought it would be interesting for us to talk about. Some people, maybe a lot of people already know about this, but there are questions about, hey, who's using what tier in terms of OpenAI, and I think it's just important for folks to note that, look, even if you're going to use so the free version, basically of any product, good thing to remember. People always say, if you are not paying for the product, you are the product, and your data is the thing that is providing value to these companies. And they're selling it somehow or using it somehow to generate revenue one way or the other. So if you're using ChatGPT or any product for free, do not put uh, sensitive or really probably any client data in there. Now, if you're paying for it, there are different tiers. So there's several tiers. For example, the business tier, and I think the team one as well. The one's $20 that I'm paying, and I think you're paying 25, I guess, a month. You're able to turn off training, meaning you're not training the model on the information you're inputting, but you're still it's still retaining, I guess, that information. I haven't read
Yeah.
the retention period of that data, but the sort of the pro, the highest tiers, especially if you have the enterprise tier, you could make it so that there is zero retention of data. Um, Now, I don't know, this is based on contract. And so we all have to assume that they're doing the thing they're saying they're doing um, uh,
Well, there was a
in their
lawsuit, I think
contracts.
New York Times or somebody against ChatGPT because they're saying they're taking our data and stuff. And a judge said ChatGPT has to maintain all information coming in. So even though inevitably when it's digital, you could expect that they're always whatever they say, they're always going to have it, or NSA is going to keep it. So, so like whatever you put in there, any data is digital at this point. Even my home cameras and stuff. It's all up to remember. It's for eternity. As long as the government exists, they're going to be holding on to these in data centers in some way or fashion.
Yeah, and OpenAI has an entire privacy page. I'm looking at it right now for enterprise level. And so, enterprise level, obviously, if you're a big company, this isn't going to be relevant for a small
Mhm.
firm, solo firm, definitely. Maybe in a larger firm, but certainly for corporates, right? And so it says our commitments provide you with ownership and control over your business data. And, I'll just read out a couple of the comments here. And this is, by the way, openai.com/enterprise dash privacy. So anybody could check this out. It says, we do not train our models on your business data by default. You own your inputs and outputs. Quote, or in parentheses, where allowed by law. You control how long your data is retained. That's really important, right? It's one thing where a model isn't trained on your data, but if the data is being typed into the chat and then you press enter, it's going somewhere,
Yeah.
right? Like OpenAI is reading it. It might read it and then look at um, your settings and say, okay, don't use this data to train the model, but it's still reading the information. And so I think it's really important to think about and to understand how long data is being retained for. So, uh, you know, that's something for people to think about. Again, you really should understand that super sensitive data shouldn't be input into one of these platforms. Definitely, if you are not paying any money for it, but even if you are paying money for it, make sure to look at the privacy policy. If you're not, or the data policy, if you're not sure, you can honestly copy paste that privacy policy into ChatGPT or into one of these other platforms and ask it to pull out the aspects of the policy with respect to data use and data retention. If you don't want to read the legalese, ask it to do that in a way that's easy to understand. And at least that way you'll know what you're doing. Um,
Yeah, for the most part, people listening are going to
so,
do the
yeah,
enterprise model, so they're not going to get those additional protections. It's kind of like pay for the basics, turn it off, but
right.
still don't. If there's a situation where just think like if ICE was reading this, would they get my client and then just take the names off, dates of birth, A numbers, anything like that? I had one case
Exactly.
which was an NIW, and I got permission from my client to put it at ChatGPT to give their opinion on our cover letter. And his stuff's all it's all public because it's all and whatever's in the national interest waiver is all online anyway. So it wasn't anything. He's like, okay, that's
Right.
fine. And then so I uploaded it and it's like, oh, this is approvable and it didn't get approved. I was a R they
Uh,
came to me for an RFE, so I was doing the RFE response. But the officer just didn't care. It was like one of those that it's not gonna happen. I didn't do the initial
How do
case.
you so that's a really good point, and I'll ask you as the experienced practicing attorney in the room, how do you communicate your use of AI with your clients?
I mean, I don't use it too much on per se on clients. It's more for my personal like research. So it's like, huh, how does the TN work in this context? So I had this one case where it's N470. It's like if you're a green card holder, but you're going to be outside the U.S. For a while, but you're working for a multinational company or something like that. So I was researching it, not as much client. But in that one case, I that was openly discussing like the case of facts. I just said, hey, is that your permission? I'll put ChatGPT. It might be shared publicly and stuff like that. And he's like, "Yeah, that's fine." I just got an email. Technically, have him sign off and all that kind of stuff, but it was so like all the information was public anyways that we're using in there. Is just rewording
Yeah.
in my way that it was okay. But I have it in my contract anyways because when we first started saving information on the cloud, I had it where it's like your information might be in the cloud and stuff like that. In Dropbox, I want them to know. But then I just had to catch all that. We might use online cloud systems. So I just increased it from Dropbox because it's on Gmail. And Google is stealing all this stuff anyways. And then right now we have like our case management software. It's going to be on them too. We don't keep data anywhere else. So it's our cloud case management and then emails where information and data go. I don't think there's a third or fourth, but I just kind of kept it open ended because we just say do our best. The reality is now, like there's still people who get really worried about their social security number being out. But I'm like, my social security number has been stolen at least 50 times in my life, and every week there's another one
Wow.
of these things. So there's no data privacy anymore. It's like it's not realistic. The best thing to do is just do credit report checks constantly, or like once a year at least, and just keep top of your bank statements to make sure things aren't being stolen. Because I don't think there's an expectation of privacy anymore in the digital America.
Do you think there's a place for attorneys to give their client the choice of whether or not they want you as their attorney to use AI? For example, if I'm nervous about it for whatever reason, I'll say, "Yeah, I want you to take my case. I want to hire you, but I do not want you to use any AI whatsoever." And if you think that is a possibility, would that change how you structure fees?
I mean, we don't. It's not imparted in our system. So for us, would it be different? So not yet, but like I was talking to a new case management software at Press Forms that's growing right now. Right before this, I was talking for an hour, and the whole thing is it's all AI based. So that's going to be part and parcel to it. But the certain current systems we have really don't use AI. It's just for internal kind of training and stuff. But like Serenade is immigration Serenade. They work with Visa Law that AI, so that if you buy the combo package, that'll work with them on that. Yeah, you got to tell clients. I think at least let them know because until it was kind of like you're my age, I think. So like when we first started, it used to be like a big thing, like to put your credit card into like Amazon. That's like now no one cares. That's like that auto credit card that goes or Uber to come pick you up. You're like, who's this person? They can steal you and kill you and cut your throat or something like that. Then it's like everyone's doing Uber. So probably it's another like 12 months where people will stop caring about AI and
Yeah,
it'll just be like not starter.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting. We do sort of get used to these things, especially when they create such efficiency and make life so much easier. Like Uber is a game changer, right? Paying online for stuff is a game changer, and so people, I guess, weighed their options and said, "Yeah, inherently there is a risk, but God, this is so convenient.
Yeah.
I want to
Your
use it."
cell phone having GPS maps with you all the time, Airbnb to be able to get pluck a place to live in some random person's house. They can have cameras, so but it's just so convenient. The Unabomber wrote about this in his manifesto of like the tech is just so overwhelmingly convenient that you have no choice to really get into unless you live like him in the woods. Which would you live in the woods too?
Right.
So you kind of
I do live in the
sometimes
woods,
the
but I'm connected to the grid. I mean, I have electricity. I don't have running water or heat, but I do have electricity. Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to talk about that we spoke about earlier was password managers,
Mhm.
and it's interesting because this kind of goes along the data privacy thread, and also from a tech perspective, but not quite with respect to AI. I and I'll say this as a software provider now, right? Because I'm not an attorney. I mean, I don't practice anymore, right? I run Laborless, and so most of our clients are law firms, and they have users, like they have Laborless users, and there are instances where they want to share credentials, and I tell them, look, you're the boss of your account. If you want to have one Laborless account and multiple people use it,
Well,
that's on
let me
you. But
pause
I
it right there.
always,
in your
Yeah, sure.
systems, do you charge per seat or is it just per firm?
It's per so it's actually per by volume, and depending on the tier that you get a certain number of seats. You can pay for extra seats also,
Okay.
but it's a combination because what we do is the LCA posting automation, and so, that's really where the pricing is differentiated, like how big your firm is or how much volume you do for your clients in terms of H-1Bs. So, but it is a combination of both. There are tiers, and then if you need more users, you just sort of pay extra per user. But so there are some firms that take their 3 or 5 users, whatever comes with their tier, and they have like a kind of more generic maybe username and a password. And I always tell people, look, if you need to do this, but my recommendation from best practice standpoint, like I'll even throw them an extra, like a free user if it's going to be an issue for them to pay for additional users. I would rather make sure that every user
Yeah.
has their own credentials so that if and when they leave the firm, you're not changing the password for everybody, just because that one person left. And conversely, if you don't change the password, now somebody who no longer works at your firm
Hmm.
still has access to this information. Now, I will say that we handle LCA and public access file information. This is basically inherently public data, but still, why would you want somebody who no longer works there to be able to log into something? And so that just kind of is a broader conversation around the fact that people just share passwords across the board with their team members. And I have to talk to folks on a relatively regular basis. I tell them, for example, I use one password. That's what I use. I have a family plan, so I have passwords that are just my own for my bank accounts and stuff, and then I have passwords for, let's say, streaming service that I share with family members. And like I pay for a tennis channel, so my mom wants to watch a tennis match. Like
You're that
she,
into tennis?
it's
You got
in
a
our.
tennis channel too?
I got tennis channel, I got tennis TV, I have ESPN, only basically only for tennis. But you know what I mean. All of these kind of things. So for firms, it's the same thing. Instead of memorizing, John Khosravi 41
Yeah.
as my password, like you should have a password manager. Typically, how they work for anybody who's listening who doesn't know, there's a master password. And what I've done for my master password is I made it a full sentence, okay, with capital letters and lowercase letters. And it's going to be really hard to guess that sentence, right? But I know the sentence. It's my main, entry point to my password manager. I get in and then I have all my passwords saved there, but the password manager's tool creates the actual password for all of the platforms and
Mhm.
sites that you have to sign into, and they're basically impossible to guess. So I have, like I said, one password. This is not a sponsored thing. I'm just sharing what I have, and you can toggle like 8 characters all the way up to 20. Do you want numbers? Do you want characters? So you can make your password insanely difficult to guess. It saves all of them. And this way, if you use it as an enterprise version, you could manage your employees' passwords when they leave the firm, or if they no longer need a tool, they change teams
Yeah.
from maybe your IV team to your NIV team, whatever it might be. You, as the person who owns or runs the firm, can make sure that that is always kind of up to date, and nobody has access to something that they don't have access to. I want to bring that up because I see this come up in group chats, in on Facebook pages, and just in conversation when people ask me about sharing passwords. I just think it's a silly thing to do, and it is there's an easy workaround so that you can avoid kind of
Yeah, I think you're right.
yeah
Password managers is kind of like the cost of doing business now. It's like one of the standard things you have to have. I was using LastPass
yeah
because they're like the biggest famous, but
yeah
they're just a mess. They were so difficult to deal with. They had glitches, and when I complained
uh,
about a glitch, like we have to upgrade your plan. So I upgrade it, and it still is a problem. Like, oh no, that's some other problem. I'm like, I'm paying more now. I got a new yearly plan for no reason. So as soon as I could, I dumped them, and I went to one password because they're good price, and it's
oh,
actually really easy to work with. It wasn't like how terrible LastPass experience was. Bash them a little bit.
it's great, and there's I have the mobile app too, so I have it all, when I'm signing in from my phone, and there is a Chrome plugin, and so when I'm on a website, there's a little drop down that comes up, and it just auto fills, yeah, it's a great tool. So I highly recommend for folks check it out. One Password.
Very cool. Now you had a meetup, was it yesterday, with immigration lawyers?
I did a meetup yesterday with immigration lawyers, little one in New York, about 6 or 7 or 8 of us met up, and it was nice. It was, it's kind of a group of like mostly Jewish lawyers. And I obviously said to people, I was like through a group chat, and I said, invite friends, invite allies, if you will. But it was just nice to kind of get together through a community, perspective. I mean, we all get together at ALA conferences and things like
Yeah.
that. And this wasn't about the fact that we met up as immigration lawyers. It was kind of met up as like a bunch of Jews, but it was
Okay.
nice. And I think, I'm on the member experience committee, actually, member experience committee for ALA National. And, as part of that, we constantly thinking about ways to engage with members or to encourage members to engage with each other. And, part of it, of course, or not part of it, the majority of it is working through ALA National. But I like to do some of these things on my own, right? Like
Mhm.
I've organized a comedy show as I've talked about this, but talked about it a couple of times on your show. I have a immigration tennis retreat coming up. Actually, starting this Sunday with a bunch of people. There's going to be 9 of us total, so 7 immigration folks, and 2 of them are bringing their spouses. And it's small. They're small groups, but it's the idea is coming together as a group of people, but not just for CLEs or whatnot, but for something actually different, social, active, etc. I always recommend it for folks, especially with your local chapter members. You build friendships that way.
Yeah, 100%. That's like, hey, everybody, I'm going to jump in really quick to remind you of our community page, the circle.so. It's a website. It's like Facebook, but it allows you to have privacy, discussion pages, videos, blogs, all that kind of stuff. It's a great place where we share AEO decisions regarding EB1A, NIW cases that we have AI go through, shorten it out, and more easily pick out jobs that apply to cases you're handling to make your practice better, but also white label content about for marketing purposes, our sample, things that we do in our practice, we share them for free. So you put your logo on there and share it as well, and much more. If you want to join, email me. You have to be a U.S. barred attorney, but info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com is a place. Or you go to our website, immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com, click on the community tab. There'll be boxes there for you to fill out to give your information so I can quickly check to see if you're a lawyer or not and get you in the group. It'll be a big help for your practice. And within there, you see videos, including premium videos, training courses, and office hours are set there too. These are all premium parts of it, but to help increase your practice, start new areas, or get into immigration law. Our marriage green card courses help dozens of people become immigration lawyers, and I hope it helps you too if you're getting into business. Uh, with that, let's get it back in. If you're new to immigration or just law in any field, make a small group of people that's like your ethnicity, religion, passion you have. Even if it's 2 or 3 people that you meet regularly, it helps so much for business, become better at what you do, and just relaxing.
Yep.
You got to have that circle. And ALA, especially local chapters, kind of do it, but it's hard because it's just this organization. And for us, it's like
Yeah.
downtown LA. It's so hard to go on their time at so, but it's so more flexible when it's your own group and you just have more personal relationships. So one way or another, try to. Alien National is good because you all go there and you meet someone who's from your hometown. They're like, oh, perfect. Let's meet up again when we go back home.
Yeah.
And that's really a starting point. But like everyone should have a group of people and meet every once a month, once a quarter, or at least do a group video chat of stuff. Like with Ruby Powers, I have it where it's like we have a 3 or 4 person quarterly meeting of like people with certain business at a certain height, and then we just talk about what we're dealing with and stuff like that. And so just find what something you guys relate on a topic, but it just is a must. It's like just like a password manager nowadays is a must. You have to have a group of best immigration lawyers that you talk with on a regular basis. We have something in
You
common.
ever done like a have you ever done like a Persian immigration meetup? That sounds like it would be fun.
Yeah, back when I was like getting the house more, there was the Iranian Immigration Lawyer Association, but it was essentially a lot of us would see each other anyway. So because as soon as
Yeah.
you see each other, you're Persian, you're like, hey, you're like us. So I'm probably like there's a lot of Jewish people in LA, so I'm not sure if that it's like that, but it's in LA, where I live, everyone's from Israel in Woodland Hills. It seems so. Like it doesn't seem like that
No.
much of a niche here to like connect. But like Iranians still, even Iranians a lot here too. But in the
Yeah.
immigration field, we immediately see each other. Like when we go to Ila National, inevitably they all get together at the bar and we'll talk. My associates from Eastern Europe and show all like the Russian speaking attorneys all get. I'm not sure if the war how it's happening, but like they would all be at the bar together. So you immediately kind of connect
Yeah.
because you have that secondary thing in common.
Yeah, and I think it's so important. I mean, again, even if it's once a quarter, if it's virtual, if it's in person, whatever that thing is. And by the way, you can have overlapping groups, right? Like I'm Jewish, so I like to sometimes hang out with other Jewish attorneys just to talk about whatever, whether it's something political or it's something food related or it just coming together as a community. The tennis thing, it's going to be wonderful.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk politics. We're not going to, we're
Got
going to
you.
talk US Open. All right. We're going to talk US Open, but the beauty is we're still it's like you're building friendships, you're building relationships with other people in the profession, right? Um, but you're doing it through something that is not necessarily centered around the profession. And I just think that we work so many hours, whether, I mean, again, I don't practice anymore, but I do marketing, I do software, all for immigration. I'm on ALA committees. I talk to immigration lawyers every single day in a number of capacities. We all work a lot. And I know, and from all the clients and all the folks I work with, right now is a really challenging and stressful, and for some people, really busy time. For some people, it's actually kind of a low time because, people are scared to even apply for immigration benefits. They don't even want to be on the map. Whatever the thing is, we need to sort of meet up sometimes and talk about those things, or at least, or forget about those things
Yeah.
together, you know?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I meet sometimes immigration lawyers. I'll talk with them. They don't get involved in anything. They've just been in their own silo for years. But like, you can't. It's going to drive you crazy. Like, it's not hell. It's just so. It is so much fun when you do meet other colleagues. Just you have something to relate about. It makes the practice of immigration law so much better. So much fun. I was talking with immigration attorney who does removal defense law. I think it was MOLs a week last week, and I was asking her, how do you like make this process more palatable for immigration lawyers to do removal defense, humanitarian work, as hard it is. But she mentioned, I was thinking about better AI systems, hiring more employees, maybe foreign employees that are less expensive, which like just do meetings and talk with colleagues. It's so relaxing when you go to events, they see each other and you talk. And I'm like, yeah, it's so true. Like, really, every time I go to a national, I get high for the next like 3, 4 months just from that experience. I'm
Yeah,
like, I wish there was more of these we
yeah,
could do, and like that are so good.
yeah, totally. I mean, that's why I do some of these meetups sometimes. Um, but yeah, totally agree with you. I was going to ask you on that note, have you ever taken on non-immigration cases through your firm?
When I first started, I would get other kids. When I first started my own firm, I would do like appointments. I had one guy who's like, I need an employment lawyer. I'm leaving my company. I want to take all the clients and all the employees with me. And I'm like, okay. I found some books on California employment law. I was helping him, and he put me on retainer. I was making more money doing that at the time. At the time I needed $5,000 a month to be able to live well. That was like 10, 50 years ago when I first started. And he was like, okay, I'll pay that a month. And I was like, oh, this is great. So I was like, just doing that every time I had questions, I'd answer it. But then, like, I realized, like, I want to be an immigration lawyer, and as long as I have 2
Yeah.
feet, 1 feet in this boat, 1 foot I'm never gonna be a great immigration lawyer. So I say, "You know what? I'm gonna go hungry a little bit, but, I'd rather do that and become a great immigration attorney than just do whatever it is just for the sake of making money." Employment law was interesting too, but I knew I wanted to be an immigration lawyer.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I'm hearing people doing that now who are immigration attorneys. They're turning to other things, car accidents. I mean, there's a lot of money in personal injury. Obviously, there's related work, so federal litigation that may be somehow related to detention
Yeah,
cases or whatnot. Family law is a really nice,
big time.
secondary kind of field where family law often overlaps with immigration, but maybe you're working on the divorce or maybe on assets or something like that. But it's just, God, I mean, I don't want to say it's sad, it's a reality, and maybe for some people this is a band-aid or a bridge, I should say, before we get to better times. But it's the reality right now where a lot of practicing attorneys are thinking about this or asking around. Again, I'm seeing it in group
Yeah.
chats, I'm seeing it in Facebook groups. Who's taking on other types of cases? Or like, what can I do to supplement my income? Because boy, the cases are just not coming in.
Yeah, I've been seeing that. Again, the attorney and case management company I was talking about earlier saying this. He's seeing people just want to, have to leave the field and stuff. It's a feast or famine. Some people are getting slammed with work, some not. The
Yeah.
best advice I give you is just use that free time that you have. Whenever we have downtimes and I start panicking, I'm like, that means I have to do more videos, I have to write more blogs, I have to go just put
Mhm.
out content. And I'll take a couple months for it to pick up, but always that's been work so far. It just got to, because one thing I saw is when I go to USCIS interviews, there's less people filing for stuff because they're afraid, but the ones that are filing are hiring lawyers more, and they just got to be able to find you. And so it's kind of goes to the thing of so many lawyers are siloed and don't communicate with the group, so they don't get referrals or put themselves out there on the internet because they're like, "Oh, I don't like to do online marketing or something like that." But when no one knows you in these downtimes, it's hard because no one can find you. And there are people who want to hire a
Right.
lawyer will find. And what I'm finding is like they're they're actually the price our pricing is has to go like they're like, oh, that's it when they want to hire us. They're open their head to like more expensive stuff, so it has been difficult on that end. But it's always month to month. Every month, I'm like, oh, we hit our numbers. It's gonna happen again next month. And the last 8 months have been really good for us. Have been like best months ever. But it's as soon
Mhm.
as September 1st it rolls around, I'm like, So let's see what happens this month. Are these people actually close or stuff like that? But again, just use the downtime to do as many videos, articles, whatever you can.
Well, let me ask you this, John. How have you been able to have, some of your best months over the past year when it's been kind of a challenge across the board in immigration?
For me, I think Trump did a lot of it because like people are just they're scared. Like people are contacting me. They're like, "We want to hire a lawyer no matter what." Oh, you don't have case, and I'm like, "You don't necessarily
Well,
need to have a lawyer." Like, no, we want one. But it really comes down to the video marketing. So, um, it, whenever I start doing videos and TikTok and lives and this and that, there's like a 2 or 3 month runway. And so, like last summer, things got really bad. Actually, like, exactly a year ago, where I was even telling my associate, might have to like make you part time or something like that. Because what had happened is 6 months prior to that, you could look at my podcast episode too. I was putting like one podcast out every 2 months because just raising kids and being tired and all this kind of stuff got to me, so I couldn't do any marketing. But I at that summer, I told him like we got to be careful. Last summer, I started doing videos again, and then it just happens. And by the time December rolled around, it just packed it up. So again, there's a marketing delay, but if you just do it consistently enough, ideally, there's this famous marketing person online. His name is Hormozy. I think he's Persian too. He
yeah.
is Persian.
Yep.
And he's like, I have this video that I save. It like auto turns on every time on my computer. It's like, if you're not making $1 million a year, you got to spend 4 hours a day on marketing every day. Now, I barely get half
Wow.
an hour if I'm lucky because there's always a million other things that pop up that stop me from doing what I want to do. But if I did 4 hours of videos and content every day for a month alone, that would be killer. Like, yeah, I'd be making $1 million on that. But it's just hard to find the time and do it, all this kind of stuff. Cause I don't have systems and case management, admin, all this kind of stuff that's demanding. So I'm like, okay, let's do 2 hours a day. But even that's hard. But again, if you have to do be a bit of marketing, at least an hour's worth of value a day, or maybe like, all Sunday, do 6 hours. So that's an hour every other day of the week or something. But the
Yeah.
consistency in marketing is key. And millennials on, everyone's going to look online for stuff. So your review page has to
Yeah.
be good. Your website has to be updated. And speaking of ChatGPT, like I was going to update my website. So it was taking me forever because I was writing articles on all these different topics. I went 30 this and that. And then I just asked ChatGPT and Claude, and I would just play them against each other to fine tune it. And it would make like the best articles. And I just clean it up and the stuff I want. But I was able to like revamp like 20 pages that would have taken me months. I mean, it took a year because I was not doing it because it was so overwhelming time consuming to do it. That was just not happening. But within like a weekend of just nonstop work, I revamped the whole website. Now it's still a problem because when they do create the article, you got to clean it, you got to fix it, copy paste it, edit it the way you want. Add the SEO stuff and add the links, and a team member can help you with that. So that you can do the basics, have them do it. But it's not as easy as just saying, "Chat, you do it," and then you copy paste it. There's still like an hour of work per page, but it would have taken
Of
me
course.
hours to create that page in the first place, the way I wanted it, the depth
Yeah.
I wanted it.
And I'll tell you what, if you have nothing and all you can do is put something out or use ChatGPT and then copy paste it, that's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Will it be perfect? I mean, as long as you're not putting any substantive information, but marketing copy is usually pretty basic. Um, and so I always tell people like you got to have something. I admire and deeply respect referral only businesses, but I tell them, listen, between referrals, they're on their phones, they're on their computers, right? And so even though they loved you, you did an amazing job for them, and their instinct today is if a friend came to them and said, "Hey, do you have an immigration lawyer?" They'd refer them, they'd refer you. If their friend doesn't come to them for 6 months, between today and 6 months, if you have zero touch points with this person, but John or somebody else is posting every single day on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on TikTok, whatever, when that friend comes in 6 months and says, "Hey, can you recommend a lawyer?" They got a whole bunch of stuff going on in their
Yeah.
head. Yes, they have you as the attorney that helped them and won their case, and they trust you because you did it for them. But this guy John's been popping up on my feed every day for the past 6 months, and like he seems pretty knowledgeable too. Maybe you could here. Why don't you try my lawyer, but then also John? That's all it takes. All it takes is somebody to say, you know what, maybe let's give this other person a try. And that's how your referral that you really relied on because you did a great job for them can be, sent somewhere else. And so I always tell people, you gotta, I mean, I don't care if you don't feel, I mean, that's my tough love. I don't care if you don't feel comfortable being on camera. You don't like the sound of your voice. You don't like putting your pictures out online. You run a business. And if you run a law firm, your name is the
Yeah.
business, right? And so I tell them you have a fiduciary duty to your shareholders and stakeholders. I was talking to two attorneys and they were like, yeah, my stakeholders are my kids. I'm like, exactly. your kids rely on you to be successful. And so think about them when you are nervous to go on camera, be on a podcast, share a post. Think about them. And so typically that works. But yeah, I was curious to see what you've been doing. And the answer is exactly what I expected.
Yeah, the
Marketing,
problem is
marketing,
just
marketing when times are
consistency.
low.
Yeah, because it works. It's always worked in the last 10 years. I have low times do marketing. It brings it back. And then I get busy with other stuff. And then I just don't have time for it. And I've tried to develop systems more consistent at it, but it's been really hard. I mean, it's worked enough for me living that I want to make, but um, LinkedIn is like, there was a time when Instagram, whenever I'd post a couple posts, I'd get a case. And then I remember one day, I think it was like December 2019 or 18. I'm like, I'm just going to post every day on LinkedIn. I'm sorry, on Instagram. I'm going to kill it, and right when I did that, they changed the algorithm on Instagram where it wasn't like showing up anymore. Like, oh, I lost that one. And then TikTok came around. I was going hard at it and worked really well. And then I was like, oh, I'm killing it. Look, I got like 10,000 followers in like a month. And I thought that was a big deal for TikTok. TikTok, you have much more followers. They're easier to get. And then I slowed
Yeah.
off on it. And then everyone else took off and it died down. Like, I didn't take advantage. Then LinkedIn was really good. But I took my foot off the pedal. And now like LinkedIn is kind of getting oversaturated with immigration lawyers posting. But it is one thing. So there's because I essentially anyone's an immigration lawyer on LinkedIn I follow, I connect with. So like most of my followers are immigration lawyers, and I see the consistency of when like USCI says, "Oh, we updated this rule about paying filing fees with checks or not paying checks and stuff like that." And there'll be people that just regurgitate that, and I guess if the people following them aren't, I'm following every single immigration attorney,
Yep.
so I'm like, oh, it's the same thing over and over again. But other
Right.
people don't see that.
Right.
But then there's people that are like,
Exactly.
I did an interview with Jimmy Lai. He like is talking unique stuff. Bob Weber is killing it. Like I think he posts this publicly. He's probably one of the fastest growing law firms in America right now. He's killing it business wise. And it's his LinkedIn marketing that he's doing, especially because he works on NIWs, EB1As. But his content is really good. Every time it comes up, I want to read it. And it's like, it's a skill to have to be that good. But even the ones that just copy paste that USCI's updated a memo and stuff, it's worth doing just to get your face out there. But if you write quality stuff like
Exactly.
he does, where it's always interesting to read, you're just going to exponentially. The problem will be just handling the case flow. The intake when someone
Yeah.
calls you, sales, contracts, doing the case, that becomes a problem, which has been my problem, like how to streamline the business. But the marketing, I don't have an issue with. It's just the business stuff I have an issue with. That's harder for me.
Well, you get out of it what you put into it. I mean, as you said, but at least for the people who are just putting out kind of generic stuff, at least, like you said, it's something. If they have 500 followers and amongst those followers are a few of their clients, that's still better than nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, if you're being unique and creative, you have your own voice and you kind of carve out your niche, or people like you said are just interested in reading what you have to say. But yeah, you got to get out there. I will say, maybe we can leave this for another episode, but I will say LinkedIn algorithm is changing. However, and I posted about this the other day, I'm getting more notifications than ever about how my comments are performing on other people's posts. So I get notifications that say, Roman, your comment has 1,000 impressions,
Oh
which
yeah.
is, kind of amazing
Yes.
in terms
People
of a
start
comment. It's not
commenting.
even
That's
a
a big deal.
post. Yeah, 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 and I love this because I've always, this is a new development in terms of, first of all, on LinkedIn, when you comment on a post, whether it's your own or whether it's somebody else's post, it now shows the number of impressions that your comment has gained, and so it's giving you visual data and
Hmm.
feedback, right? Which is a cue. So if it's giving you, what do they say? You can't. Um, Gosh, what is the term? You can't fix what you can't measure,
Yeah.
I believe. You can't grow what you can't measure. Point is, you need data. And so when you see the number of impressions that your comments are gaining, that gives you some insight into like what comments did well, what comments didn't do well, et cetera. That's number one. Number two, they're feeding you that as notifications. I've always told my clients, even before LinkedIn started showing the number of impressions, I told them comments are where you build relationships, right? And so if you're not commenting on people's posts and you're not replying to comments on your own post
You mentioned
in
that
a
to me
sort of a
before. It's like when
valuable
I
way,
comment, you got to reply. Don't just put a happy
you
face
got
or
to reply.
something. Yeah. It's laziness to a
Yeah,
certain extent, but you got to
exactly.
do it. Yeah.
And if you just say thanks, 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 thanks for every comment, like if I put myself in the shoes of the person who's commenting because I do that a lot. I'm very active, right? You put a post out and I'll reply to it in the comments and I'll say, hey John, this is really interesting. I definitely agree with you that blah 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 XYZ. I took a minute of my time and some mental energy and whatever to comment on your post. If all you do is just like it, or even if you comment but you just write thanks, in my head, whether it's conscious or subconscious, I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't want to do that again. I just spent all this time and kind of like engaging with John and hoping to have a maybe a conversation or something, quote unquote, in the comments. And John just you just liked my post, my comment. You got the benefit of me spending my time and energy commenting, but you didn't reciprocate, right? And I think subconsciously that disincentivizes people to comment on your posts in the future. Whereas if you reply, "Oh, Roman, thank you so much for the comment. I love what you said," and you kind of give me a little bit of something based on what I wrote. Number one, makes me feel seen. Number two, maybe it keeps we go again and I comment again and we go back and forth. And that's amazing for your post. And then number three, for the future, I know that you reply to my comments and we can have a conversation. I see a future post of yours and I'm more incentivized to comment on it at that time.
So this might be unique to me. It's one of the reasons I don't like text messaging and stuff because like I like just having a conversation, a long conversation instead of small ones. Where do we draw a line of like, okay, you make comment and I make one, and you go back and forth. How where do we cut it off, or when is like, okay, do I stop it? It might be my lack of social skills or ability, like social EQ or something.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an art form. I mean, sometimes well, first of all, if you wanna cut the conversation short, let's say you know that you wanna comment, you don't wanna fall behind on it, but, like, you're busy, you can't just keep going back. You can't have LinkedIn open all day. Sometimes you could reply and you might say, "Roman, thanks for so much. I love your second reply, blah, blah, blah. Gotta get" I literally will write this in a comment, "Gotta get back to work now. Thanks for your comment," right? "Thanks for the comments." Or, you put a little period at the end of it. Sometimes it just fizzles out and it's natural. Other times, you just somebody one person feels or another. I don't worry too much about that because then you start
I don't want to
this
hurt
is
someone's
like
feeling.
putting the
Like
cart
just give a
before the
quick answer. Like, I get away. I don't want it to come off like that, or just like leave them on a.
Yeah, my perspective is if you've replied to their comment in a substantive way, you already have not hurt their feelings. I mean, nobody's going to be expecting you to reply to everything right away, right? But if you've at least done it once, but here's what I do sometimes: once a week or once in a while, I'll go through my let's say latest 4 or 5 posts, and I'll skim through all the comments just to make sure I got to everything. And there are times where I've missed a comment, and like you said, I don't want to make them feel a certain way. I'll reply and say, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I missed this comment 3 weeks ago." And then I'll reply to them then. And, I think that's okay. So I treat it as I would a human being in real life. You've said something to me. I want to reply to you. I'm not going to ignore you. Whether I reply to you immediately or I reply to you later sort of isn't as much of a big deal as I think replying at all. So
Yeah.
that's my thought about it.
And one thing is like replying to comments is easier than come up with your whole LinkedIn post. So it's an easier way to people to participate without having to reinvent the
Exactly.
wheel of like making a whole post and everything.
Totally. Just to comment on that, because I know we've been, we didn't expect to talk about LinkedIn, but you can't bring me on here and talk about marketing and not have it come up. As a final thought, absolutely. Some people say, I don't know what to write about. I don't know how to be active on LinkedIn. Fine. Fine. I'm not going to force you. But what I will recommend you do, what I will suggest is at the very least, go onto LinkedIn and scroll through your homepage to see what other people are writing and use that as inspiration and comment on what they have to say. Definitely, as you said, easier to reply to someone else's idea than to come up with your own. And because LinkedIn now is really valuing comments so much, arguably, you could probably grow your following and get something positive out of LinkedIn without posting at all. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but I do think that if you start just commenting once a day, it's already going to be
Well, this
huge.
podcast go longer, but it's over my. Is it better to comment there or do a repost with comments and have like that? I guess reshare. I guess it's a different goal when you reshare. You just bring a whole new idea or something. But how
Yeah.
valuable is
So my quick thought on that is sharing somebody's post will never get, in my experience, doesn't get you as many impressions as a comment would on their post. So, but sharing someone's post helps them get more impressions and reach for their post. Does that
Mhm.
make sense? So if you posted something, you, John, posted something, and I really want to say something about it, um, and and I want to say something about it because I want the eyeballs on me and my profile, I will comment on your post to get to that goal. Me sharing, clicking the share button, even if I write my own thoughts, but I share your post, by sharing a post, my share doesn't get a lot of impressions. It's just how the algorithm how
Interesting.
the algorithm works from what I've noticed. So yeah, I would recommend commenting first. But you know what? I share sometimes too. I actually share from my business page because I don't really care about the impressions that much. So I'll support friends and clients and whatnot by sharing their content, but I don't share it for my personal LinkedIn account. I share it for my business account.
Interesting stuff. Yeah, people should have their own personal and business to set up that. So when they're looking up, people are looking at your bio on your LinkedIn page. You have your logo and stuff that goes to the business. That should be there as well.
Yeah,
And one side note is people
totally.
are like, for us, for like Immigration Lawyers Toolbox, there's random people who say they work for Immigration Lawyers Toolbox. So it comes up on that page. And I used to be able to get it off, and now LinkedIn's not letting me like have them removed. So it's annoying. So then people think if they get friends with people, they think they work for Toolbox, but they don't. But I don't know how to get them off the LinkedIn page. So be aware of that kind of stuff, that kind of fraud happening too.
Interesting. I don't know about that either, but I can take a look at that if you'd like. See
Yeah, there
what
was an easy. It
comes
wasn't
up.
easy, but I looked at it before. We have to like notify you LinkedIn, but it took away. They keep revamping the pages, and so like I asked ChatGPT, I'm like, how do I get this removed? And then it told me how to do it, but those options, those buttons don't exist on my LinkedIn anymore because they keep changing the user UI or whatever user interface. So
Yeah,
it's just what it is. People have to do.
I'll
Eventually, it's going to be this blockchain where people can identify and say, okay, this is the actual person. But until the blockchain and it gets commonplace, there's gonna be a lot of fraud happening with AI and everything else
I
in
hope
digital.
hope hope you're right. I hope you're
I
right.
appreciate you coming on the show. Obviously,
Awesome.
you're a CEO of Laborless, but also CEO of GMI Rocket.
Yeah,
So if you want to reach out with
that's my
the
marketing
yeah,
agency. Yeah.
and really, I want to plug your podcast
Yeah.
because you interview immigration tech people a lot. So GMI Rocket podcast is
Yeah.
found wherever podcasts can be found.
Yeah. Yeah. The GMI Rocket Show. Yeah. If you can find it on YouTube, if you search GMI Rocket Show on, well, I posted through my LinkedIn and there's a Facebook page, but Apple Podcasts, Spotify for people who listen on audio. Yeah. I just recorded episode 131 last week.
Congrats.
And it's crazy. I've been doing this since 2020. This was like an idea on a whim. And funny enough, Docket Wise was my first podcast guest. Jeremy was my first, the CEO and founder of Docket Wise was my first guest. I looked like a crazy person because I had my COVID beard that was totally in shambles. I didn't know what I was doing. Super nervous to be in front of the camera and in front of the mic. But yeah, 5 years later, 131 episodes in, it's been a blast. Not as many as you, but getting
I
there.
was gonna say congrats. I know you wanted to get immigration by Serenade on. You got them
Yeah,
on, and you could hear from the beginning of how excited you were for like the whole like I can't believe you guys are finally here. Like for whole
I
guys are
know.
excited that they're finally joined.
Totally. Yeah, Philip and then his son Joel, they were awesome. They were, and I love family businesses. I mean, it's so great to see kind of a son work together. Danielle Goldman, who is I don't know what her title would be, but she works at the Build Fellowship. So
Yeah.
she helps people with like H-1B visa issues go through their organization and do concurrent H-1B filings. Anyways, so her dad started the organization. They worked together. I don't know. I love those stories. So it was a treat to have them on the show.
And that's interesting, guy. At the ALA conference, I think it was Tech invited me to a special, like a wine and beer kind of thing. And I went and I got there late because I thought I was at the conference itself. So I'm at the bar. I'm like, "Where's everybody?" I look at my phone. It's like, "Oh, it's in the city. It's in Denver." So it was right before your comedy show.
Uh,
And so like I went there. I got in the last 5 minutes. I'm like, and then it was all like some big wigs at Immigration Tech who were there. I'm like, "Oh, I can't believe I missed this." I didn't look at the address. The only person I met, it was right when I met, was Goldman, Mr. Goldman. His first name is it's her dad,
Jeff.
Jeff.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm Jeff Goldman. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, there's a lot of Jeff Goldmans. Which one? And I just said nonchalant. He's like, I'm like, and I got his background, and this guy has a tremendous career background. I invited him
Yeah.
on the show. Hopefully, he'll be on soon. But it's like he's like a really cool story of how he got started and where he is, and very successful immigration attorney and open
Yeah.
avenues for H-1Bs and everything.
Well, I recommend for listeners of your show to check out my podcast because I did interview Jeff and his daughter Danielle, and I also interviewed you a little while ago now, but had you on the show. So thank you for doing that.
I appreciate it.
But yeah, thanks for the plug. I appreciate it.
You got it, bro. All right, good to see you. I'll be back next month.
Awesome. Thank you, John.
All right, so that one episode went pretty long, so I'm not going to add too much here on the end. I want to thank you for listening and thank Roman for coming on the show. If you're interested in writing an article for the Toolbox magazine, email me with a brief topic, info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com, so you can see if it's the topic we've done, or you can fine tune it to add something different. It's 2 to 3 pages, citation not mandatory. It's not a scientific paper. We just want you to add something that really helps the practice area immigration lawyers read it to get better, and to help promote you in your practice as well. to the world. So info at immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com is the place to go. Until next one, have a good one. If you like this episode, follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Immigration Lawyers Toolbox, where we post the latest statistics, tips, and more. And stay tuned for more from the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox podcast.